Hello everybody, my name is Wayne Bettess, and in today's session I am going to try and explain exactly what VAT is, debunk a few myths and simplify the process. I would like to add, I'm not a qualified accountant, so what I'm sharing today is just my interpretation of VAT and the methods that I use to simplify it. Always seek professional advice from your accountant. Let's get started. I have got over 10 years experience running a non-VAT registered business and VAT registered businesses. So I have got a wealth of experience around this. So hopefully the information that I share today will hopefully ease some pains that you might have, answer some questions, and ultimately, give you the confidence to move forward and drive your business in the direction that you want it to go. I'm going to start off with a few facts about VAT. So the current VAT threshold is £85,000. That's your turnover, not your profit. Okay, so basically it means the sales income that comes into your business. If you exceed £85,000, then you must register for VAT. And that figure is based on a rolling 12 months. So it's not linked to your financial year. It's a 12-month rolling period, and that can catch some people out because they feel that they might be keeping under the VAT threshold, when in reality, if they looked at the 12-month rolling, they might be over. And there's penalties and fines, and it could cost you a fair bit of money if you're not aware of that. Most of us that are VAT registered will submit their returns quarterly. So that means every 3 months you have to compile the information and it gets sent and paid to HMRC as required. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that you can actually reclaim up to 4 years on previous purchases, not for like materials that you've used, but for things like tools, vans, any stock that you might have that you still hold. So that could actually be quite a nice little kickback that you get. So make sure you do need the receipts, and it needs to be qualifying purchases. So make sure you do a little bit of due diligence on that. But you could end up on your first return, end up getting a fair chunk of money come back into the business. And a random fact that I didn't know is that over £130 billion was collected last year, 1920. That is just an unbelievable amount of VAT revenue for the government. So it is a vital part of the UK economy. And I just thought I'd share that random fact. There is a lot of misconceptions when it comes to VAT. Okay, some of these are that you will lose a lot of customers. Some is that you think that you're going to be 20% more expensive than everybody else around you. Some think that they're going to lose income by being VAT registered. And for a lot of people, they're just scared of the complications and the extra time that it's going to take to do it. I'm hoping that over the course of this little session that I'm going to debunk some of these and at least ease some of the pain points that you might have. So let's get started. I'm going to start off with good old Mrs. Smith. Do you know, we all know a Mrs. Smith. In this example that I'm sharing on the screen right now, this is for a non-VAT registered company. So it's very, very straightforward. You've got in one column, you've got your materials. In the other column, you've got your labor. And then you obviously have your total price that you invoice your customer, in this case, Mrs. Smith. So the materials are £1,200, which does actually include VAT. If you're not VAT registered, you're still paying VAT on the materials. So just to be clear, VAT is on everything that we buy pretty much. There are exemptions, but I'm not going to go into that. In our industry, the majority of the things that we buy are going to have VAT. But when you're a non-VAT registered business, you in essence, it doesn't make any difference. You pay the price and that's the end of it. Then you've got your 600 quid labor. Some will argue that that's too cheap. I'm just using this as an example. It's not meant as a pricing discussion. But ultimately, that gives us the grand total of £1,800 that Mrs. Smith will be billed and have to pay you guys. Okay. It's nice and straightforward. Everybody, when we start out, this is basically the model. You get your material costs, you get your labor, and you end up with the total price. Now I'm going to share with you for a VAT example. So if you're VAT registered, this one is more similar to the journey that you're going to take. So again, we start off with our materials. What you will notice though is that I've labeled it as materials as £1,000 plus VAT. For me personally, this is how I price things. I price the materials excluding VAT, the labor excluding VAT, and then add the VAT to get me to the total price. It's a method that I just prefer to use. It works well for me, and it simplifies the process. So again, £1,000 plus VAT, £600 labour plus VAT equals £320 in VAT that is due to the HMRC, gives us a grand total of 1,920. As you can see, this isn't a 20% rise on your price. As you can see here, you were 1,800 on your total, and now you would be 1,920. Okay. And as you can see along the bottom, it says it's a 6.7% rise on this example, not a 20% rise. Okay. Because this is a very important message here, because a lot of people think that it makes them 20% more expensive across the board, and it doesn't. Okay. In this simple version, you're only less than 7% more expensive. All right. And I really want to emphasize that, because a lot of people think that it's 20%, which is a huge number, but it's not. Okay. I'm going to break this down a little bit further for you. Okay. So on this simple equation, you currently owe the HMRC £320 in VAT, but now you're VAT registered, you get to offset the VAT that you've paid on your materials, which is £200. So you actually only owe the VAT man £120. All right. So you've collected 320 in VAT. You've offset the 200 that is applicable on your materials. And now you're ended up with the figure at the bottom, which is £120. Okay. But because you're VAT registered, you can now offset that on lots of different things. So obviously your materials are the biggest VAT that you get to reclaim, but all your overheads, your marketing, your advertising, any other qualifying business expenses, vans and things like that. And that has to be factored in, because it basically means that your business is now going to cost roughly 20% less to run. And that's so important to realize, because over the month, over the year, all that VAT adds up, and you're now getting that back. So it's not all doom and gloom. It doesn't mean that you're out of pocket. In a lot of cases, you can actually make savings and move forward. So I know that was a very simple example, okay? And I wanted to start with that purely to simplify, so you could hopefully understand the process involved. And I'm now going to share a bit more of a complicated example, okay? So this is based on a 1 week of average trading, yeah? Do you know, it might not be, it's not exact, but I've tried to sort of have a mixture of jobs in there. So I've included 3 boiler swaps, 10 services, and 4 repairs. And as you can see, the top line is your VAT example, if you're VAT registered. So in this example, you've got 3,400 plus VAT of materials. You've got 2,775 plus VAT in labor, which means that you have a VAT collection of £1,235. And that gives a total price that you've invoiced out to the clients is 7,410. Now below is the non-VAT registered example. So you would have 3,400 plus VAT comes to 4,080. So you would have had a material cost of 4,080. The labor cost would have been 2,775, giving you a grand total of 6,855. Again, based on a bit more of a complicated example to try and emphasize the point. Now, on average, you're around 8% more expensive being VAT registered than you was being non-VAT registered. Nowhere near the 20% that so many people think they are. So please take that message that you're not going to be 20% more expensive, as you can see from this example, okay? And I'm going to break that down a little bit more. Okay. So the VAT technically due that you've collected is 1,235. The VAT to offset based on the materials would be £680. But we can include our overheads and other costs. I've used an overhead of £600 a week, which gives us a VAT claim crawlback of £100. So from that 1235 that you've collected, you've only technically owe HMRC £455. Okay, so you've collected 1,235, but you owe the VAT man 455 based on this 1 week example. Okay. So in summary, becoming VAT registered removes the glass ceiling in your business. What I mean by that is if you constantly try to stay below the VAT threshold, you're putting a ceiling, you're putting a fake ceiling on what your business and what you can achieve, because you're basically limiting your success. By becoming VAT registered, you're allowing your business to grow unrestricted. Yes, you're going to be slightly more expensive, but you're not going to be 20% more expensive. And the customers that you will lose because of the slight increase in cost, more than likely will be the ones that will hold you back. If they can't absorb a little bit of an extra cost for your personal and business growth, are they really the customers that are going to help you build a business that you want? And one of the most important things of being VAT registered is that it's actually going to make you a better business person, because it forces you to stay on top of the finances in your business and your accounts, because you have to check them and submit every 3 months. It means that you're more consciously aware of what's going on in your business. And thankfully, modern software like Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, Cashflow, they all make the system, make it work seamlessly and do all of the hard work for you. So it doesn't become time consuming. It doesn't become complicated. The systems that you can use will do majority of the hard work for you. So becoming VAT registered is just part of the journey of running a business. Do not let it hold you back. It's like growing up. As a adolescent child, you don't have much responsibilities, but eventually you're going to grow up into a man or a lady. And your business becoming VAT registered is an important growing up milestone, in my opinion. And it's something that you shouldn't be scared of. You've just got to embrace it. Yeah, you might have to learn a little bit. You might have to do a little bit of research on what more detail on VAT and improve your operations in your business so you can manage it. But that's a good thing, because that's growth, and growth is so important. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's a nice short video. Hopefully that's explained some of the questions that you've had. That is more complicated. There's more to it than this. There's flat rate schemes. There's the new VAT reverse scheme for the construction industry. These are subjects that are very vast and not the purpose of this video. But if people are interested in that, I'm happy to get an accountant on my podcast and do a show based around the VAT reversal scheme and the flat rate schemes, and basically hopefully give you guys a better understanding on the more technical sides of VAT. But everything that I've explained today is for the majority of us, what you need to know. It's nice and straightforward. Don't let it hold you back. And no excuses, guys. Let's go.